Charles, welcome to INTA34
Thank you.
in San Sebastian. Maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and your role within Taipei and your position there.
Well, I used to work in the city offices as officers of the city planning departments for more than 15 years, and then I go back to the school. So I think this is a very wonderful experience to me.
And what was your main interest in coming here? Was there something specific that you were looking for, or challenges that you were trying to think about?
I think the themes, rethinking our region, is quite interesting things. It's just the same things that the city always have to look ahead. Taking the Taipei, for example, the most important mission for the city right now, they are trying to look on the next steps. In terms of the next step, that will be try to ask the professor, including me and most of the foreign faculties, say how should we position the Taipei? So it will lead me to find a more interesting thing is the workshop 1, innovation environments and workspace urbanism. Typically, it's a reflection of the Taipei. The status of the Taipei is not only the city for living, but somehow it's quite productivity in terms of the high-tech park within the capital city, and also this is a quite amazing thing that there are lots of the connectivity. They have been built up by the city infrastructures. So, so this is to lead me to this conquest, and I also can learn from that.
I mean, obviously we heard in your presentation yesterday about Nangang and the challenges to Nangang, and how Nangang has a kind of potential innovation environment and innovation urbanism, and the kind of obviously the high quality infrastructure that you have, and its position along a kind of a corridor of innovation that's happening across the top kind of region of Taipei, and how Nangang is the next step. But I think it was interesting also in today's debate about workspace and how you bring productive environments back into the city, but also the problems and the challenges that raises, you know, in terms of how do you engage local people, how do you actually keep residential areas and other types of civic amenities in the space as well as actually workspace all together actually in a new type of urban environment. What do you think the challenges are for Nangang in trying to bring all those things together?
Yeah, indeed, the Nangang is a very practical project. Also, it is because of thanks to the INTA's help to bring the AA to my school, NCTU, Graduate Institute of Architecture. We're working together, sponsored by the Taipei City government. They give me the topics to us. They give the project to us. Indeed, it's a Nangang according to the themes of the workshop 1 in INTA34. I can learn from that is the 3 things that is quite important. I can get it back to my real project, even though it's quite academic oriented. But the city government promised to carry on to ask the academics' point of view. So the first thing is the how the institution, in terms of the urban governors, it will be important, according to the debates we have in this seminar. Governors need to be much more creative. It's not only taking the traditional way by ways of the traditional urban planning or the traditional urban design, but somehow we should look on the things that there will be the new governors among the local stakeholders and the central government and the local government, and there will be a new style of governance. So if we want to foster the better spatial efficiency in terms of the much more productivity in Nangang, well, I have to say that Nangang is a good example because it's the original brownfield, but it just started from the 1995. It became a much more productivity process. So the critical components I can track from the workshop is the new governance. The second component is still I believe architecture is the most important things. The reasoning, the architectural reasoning. So that would be much more important for the professional, not only in the academic, but in the real professional in Taipei society, as well as the the officers in the city planning as well as some other agency of the city government. So that would be the most important thing, to rethinking what's the role of the architecture. Yeah. What's the role of the architecture and the meaning of the reasoning of the architectures. So I think always the architecture will be the good tools, not only to build up the building, but somehow to get in the logic, to foster the better workspace urbanism. And the third thing I want to learn from, I have already learned from that, is the most important things. It's kind of the cooperations, not only the governors, but somehow it's a new institutional reform. In the institutional reform, there will be go down to the traditional urban planning reforming. If not, I think they were just taking a very traditional zoning. That means the residential separated by the workspace. But this is the new necessity for the city of Taipei. I can learn from these workshops. It's just a need to be reinvent new institutions in terms of urban design, in terms of urban planning, in terms of the new governance. So that is a three component I can learn from that.
I mean, I think, obviously we heard today that Jürgen was talking about that one of the main issues is really about making sure that there's a strong responsibility from municipal and city governments. Obviously in Taipei you do have a very strong central kind of government that actually, takes that role on quite seriously. Although you could argue that actually Hafen City in Hamburg doesn't have to actually deal with the complexities that Nangang does. And, that was basically a brownfield site, nothing on it. Mm-hmm. And so therefore the strong role is actually an easier one.
Yeah.
I suppose it's, what do you think about how then you start to, or is there, a way forward in terms of now you're working actually a rich kind of area where there's a lot of other things going on? And from a governance point of view, do you think that there's a way in which the city government can take on a role of engagement with other stakeholders, such as residential, educational, and other businesses within the area that it exists at the moment?
I will give you two answers. I think one is the necessary approach that the city government should rethink in. He have to take this necessary measurement to engage all the stakeholders and to deal with all the relationships, not only for the land ownerships, but to deal with the enterprise and the central government interventions. So it's quite necessary. But on the contrary, I think that right now the municipality from the local, even though this is very power, is a capital city, administration is quite power, but the mindset probably will need to be changed again. Otherwise, it cannot produce any energy to reinvent the tools, to restart the thinking. So the mindset is quite important. So I think this is the purpose that I want to go to the INTA34, new ideas, a new mindset. And then we'll be putting some ideas and can be regenerated by itself. And then go back to the city of Taipei. We can share with the INTA again. Yeah.
And what about another concept or another issue that came out of today was this idea of time. And I think it was one of the things that came out was actually how important time is and all the timing of things. Something we can see in Hamburg that obviously what they've done is that there's moments to actually create small things that very often you do things that are maybe low risk at the beginning and you save the big things for later. So what you do and when you do it is very important. How do you think that, is that something that this could be actually thought about for Nangang as well?
Yeah, I think it just reminds me that this is not only dealing with in terms of dealing with the urban regenerations by ways of the spatial management, but somehow it's by the, another thought is that temporary management strategy. So how the city government or the stakeholders need to be know that it's not only the special aspect, but somehow the temporary. So Hafen City to me is a new inspiration that it is quite different from the Taiwan context.
Sure.
Yeah. So you just remind me the way we are dealing with the more creative workspace urbanism is on a way to look on the spatial, but the other way is on the temporary. So we'll be putting together. So what I say is probably we need to manage the proximity of spatial and temporary. Yeah, work together.
And finally, you have another role in the sense you're an ambassador for EcoCity, and that's primarily a kind of sort of developing technological tools for the future city from a means of sustainability. Do you think that there's a potential to move the remit of EcoCity into a more spatial one rather than a technological one?
Yeah.
Or do you think there is a direct relationship between technology and space?
Since I also the co-organizer of the EcoCity in my school, the program was sponsored by the national government. Well, I think the technology is not only used for the implementation for the beta technology, but somehow it's try to convert into the efficiency of the technology to encourage the spatial quality into much more sustainable. So there were lots of thought and lots of the technology and all the technology implementation we have been invented. In a way, it's just I have to address this, the eco-technologies. The purpose of that, one is for the better spatial qualities and better sustainability for the urban context. The second is the kind of the new mission is try to change all the living attitude. If the government is smart enough, he should using this approach to change the attitude of the people. How do you live with the sustainability of the urban areas? So thirdly, it's also a good link. I strongly recommend to the central government that using the eco-technology is trying to convert a new industry with the creativity. But the three components putting together, I'm always mentioned to that. City and regions always as the living labs for implementing the new ideas, the new innovations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Charles.
Thank you. Okay. It's very good to dialogue with you.